Good evening, I'm Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. If you're in Klang, you probably have a few questions about the CMCO that will begin soon. So here's a few things you should know. In a few hours, the Conditional Movement Control Order, or CMCO in Klang, will come into effect. However, it will only apply to the area within the sub-district, and other areas like Kapar and Port Klang will not be affected by the CMCO. At a press conference from his home this evening, Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the decision was made following discussions between the Perikatan Nasional Federal Government and the Harapan-led state government.
Semalam saya umumkan bahawa PKPB Klang akan dilaksanakan di Klang. Dan hari ini kita telah mendapat nasihat daripada Kementerian Kesihatan dan juga nasihat daripada Yang Amat Berhormat Menteri Besar Selangor, iaitu PKPB Klang itu adalah di Mukim Klang, iaitu tidak termasuk Kapar yang juga berada di dalam daerah Klang. Jadi walau mana pun kita sentiasa berhubung dengan pihak Kerajaan Negeri, MKN Negeri Selangor untuk melihat dengan lebih detail dari segi lokaliti dan sebagainya. Jika ada sebarang perubahan, saya akan umumkan.
Ismail Sabri also referred to a statement by the International Trade and Industry Minister Azmin Ali that the NSC would allow all economic sectors in the Klang district to continue operating as usual with strict adherence to the standard operating procedures. Those wishing to work or travel must obtain permission from the police beforehand. Travel is only allowed for emergencies and official duties. Because of this, people began gathering at the South Klang District Police Headquarters this evening, with some expressing confusion over the details of the CMCO. Sabah is still recording a worrying number of COVID-19 cases, with Malaysia still in the 3-digit range. Also, there has been a spike in deaths today.
Malaysia has reported 375 new cases of COVID-19 today, of which 371 were locally acquired infections and 4 were imported cases. Health Ministry Director General Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said that following the new infections, there are now 3,703 active COVID-19 cases nationwide. The imported cases involve non-citizens coming to Malaysia from Belgium and India. For the local infections, Sabah accounts for most of the cases, with 271 of the new cases detected in the state today. 18 of the local cases today also involve Sabah returnees. As of September 20th, there are now 301 cases detected among people returning from Sabah. Dr. Noor Hisham said that the number of COVID-19 patients in the intensive care unit has gone up to 60 cases. From the 60 ICU cases, 20 of them require ventilator support. He added that 5 patients have succumbed to the disease, bringing the death toll to 146.
Next week will be make or break for Anwar Ibrahim as he claims to have secured an audience with the king. Opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim appears to have secured an audience with His Majesty the young di-Pertuan Agong, Sultan Abdullah Sultan Ahmad Shah, for Tuesday, October 13th. In a press statement released this afternoon, the PKR president said he will be presenting documentation of the, quote, strong and convincing majority of MPs. Anwar also urged all Malaysians to remain calm and to comply with the Recovery Movement Control Order procedures. Late last month, Anwar held a press conference announcing that he had gathered enough MPs to form a new government. The Port Dickson MP also said he had been granted an audience with the king, but this had been postponed due to Sultan Abdullah's health. Following successful treatment at the National Heart Institute in Kuala Lumpur, the Agong returned to Istana Negara on October 2nd. Bersatu President Muhyiddin Yassin has maintained that he is still the legitimate Prime Minister until Anwar is able to provide proof of his claim. Speaking at a rally in Sabah during the state election campaign on September 25th, Muhyiddin said the Attorney General affirmed that he is still the Prime Minister and is yet to be summoned to the palace. Muhyiddin added that should he no longer qualify to be the Prime Minister, he has 2 options: to step down or to recommend the Agong dissolves Parliament. Perikatan Nasional's razor-thin majority has left the current administration in a fragile position. The alliance has 113 seats, while Harapan's number of lawmakers in the Dewan Rakyat dropped to 108, following the death of Warisan's Wike Liu last week. After Anwar's announcement last month, UMNO President Ahmad Hamidi revealed that numerous MPs from his party and BN were supporting Anwar. In light with the surge of COVID-19 cases, the Penang state government will be postponing plans to punish its party hoppers.
The Penang state government has put on hold a motion to force 4 assembly persons that defected from Pakatan Harapan to vacate their seats. Citing the impact of the Sabah state election last month, Penang Chief Minister Chow Kan Yeow said that this was to avoid holding by-elections that could jeopardize public health. He said they would table the motion at a later date.
The Penang state government stands guided by our paramount consideration that during this challenging time, the citizens' public health and safety must come first. With that sole principle in mind, and following the proposal of the Deputy Chief Minister 1, Yang Berhormat Datuk Ahmad Zakiuddin Abdul Rahman, the Penang State Executive Council in its weekly meeting has decided yesterday morning that we will not proceed with the tabling of the motion in the upcoming sitting.
Penang had amended its state constitution to state that any assembly person who either switched parties, resigned, is sacked or removed from a political party would have to vacate their seats. Independents who join a party would also have to vacate their seats. Meanwhile, Chow said that the situation at the Penang Remand Prison is still under control and that immediate action has been taken to curb the spread of the disease. This was following the death of an inmate who tested positive for COVID-19 at the prison.
All these frontliner will be on standby for any eventuality. Meanwhile, the swab test will be conducted for all the officers and all the inmates in the remand prison. So all this will be ongoing, and we have to look at the cases for the agencies to decide the next course of action.
With parents increasingly worried about sending their kids to school, the Education Ministry has assured that they're monitoring the situation closely.
Senior Minister Razi Jidin said that any decision with regards to the closure of schools in the country is made from in-depth analysis of available data. He said the decision will also be made after detailed discussions with the Ministry of Health as well as the National Security Council. In a Facebook post yesterday, Razi said that some may feel that the ministry is slow to make decisions, but that wasn't true. He said the COVID-19 situation was unprecedented, and the ministry was working hard to find the best approach in overcoming the crisis. Razi added that he had received many views and suggestions from various parties on the need to close schools when there is an increase in the number of cases, and appreciated the suggestions given and was aware of the concerns of parents who have school-going children. He added that the Ministry of Education is constantly monitoring the situation in schools throughout the country. Yesterday, the MOE had announced that schools will be closed from today in the districts of Klang and Selangor and in the Sandakan, Papar and Tuaran districts of Sabah. Schools in these districts will remain closed until October 23rd. The ministry said parents are advised to remove their children from hostels, but those who choose to stay will be taken after. Teachers are also required to facilitate home-based learning.
Haji Noor may have just stepped into the Sabah Chief Minister's office, but for the next 2 weeks he'll be spending it at home.
Sabah Chief Minister Haji Noor will be undergoing self-quarantine after being exposed to an individual who later tested positive for COVID-19. In a statement today, Sabah State Secretary Safar Untung said Haji is doing this as a precautionary measure and that he will be in quarantine for 2 weeks. He added that the state government will function as normal and Haji will participate in meetings via video conference if necessary. Haji was sworn in on September 29th after the Gabungan Rakyat Sabah coalition won the state election late last month. The election has been cited as one of the reasons for the resurgence of COVID-19 cases in the country. Several politicians from both sides who campaigned in the election have tested positive on their return to the peninsula. In the Beaufort constituency, several voters who cast their ballots at Sekolah Kebangsaan Mempagar during the Sabah state election have also tested positive for COVID-19. The Beaufort District Health Department has called on voters there to contact it for screening. As of yesterday, there have been 283 cases of COVID-19 linked to travel to Sabah since September 20th.
Coming up next, we take a look at a hypersonic Russian cruise missile. Russia, a hypersonic cruise missile, and Vladimir Putin's birthday. What do they all have in common?
Russia has test-launched a hypersonic cruise missile and successfully hit a target in the Barents Sea. That was the news given by a senior commander to Vladimir Putin on Wednesday, his 68th birthday. Speaking to Putin by video link, Valery Gerasimov, chief of the Army General Staff, said the test strike on Tuesday was carried out from the Admiral Groshkov vessel in the White Sea in northern Russia. Putin said the test is a big event not only for the military, but for Russia as a whole. And he said, arming Russia's military with the newest weapon systems will ensure the defense capabilities of Russia in the long term. Gerasimov said the Zircon hypersonic cruise missile hit its target at a distance of 450 kilometers in just 4.5 minutes. It reached hypersonic speeds of more than 8 times the speed of sound. The test comes amid tensions over arms control between Russia and the United States. Putin, who has pledged to beef up Russia's military presence in the Arctic, talked up hypersonic missiles and a new generation of Russian weapons in a March 2018 speech. He praised the test launch on Wednesday.
Hurricane Delta made its landfall in Mexico on Wednesday, uprooting trees and damaging businesses.
Tourists in Mexico's top Caribbean resort, Cancun, picked their way through battered streets, broken glass, and trees downed by Hurricane Delta on Wednesday, though damage was less severe than some feared as the storm tore across the Yucatan Peninsula. The hurricane had rapidly lost strength before making landfall from a Category 4 strength to a Category 2 storm, but residents still woke up to destruction. Since Monday, locals have formed long lines at supermarkets to load up on food, and shop workers boarded up windows, while tourists scrambled to leave the area. Delta's arrival was a blow to Mexican efforts to revive tourism battered by the coronavirus. Delta is expected to bring a dangerous storm surge of up to 9 feet to the Yucatan Peninsula before re-emerging in the Gulf of Mexico. Once over open water, it is expected to gather strength again before heading towards the coast of Louisiana and Mississippi later this week. The U.S. National Hurricane Center issued a storm surge warning for parts of the U.S. Gulf Coast, including high island Texas and along the Alabama-Florida border.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Michael. Thank you for watching.